Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. I want to talk to you about doing the right thing even when it leaves you feeling alone, even when it makes you feel lonely and second guessing yourself because, where is everybody? They're all gone, and it's just you muddling through, trying to blaze a pathway to the right spot. I watched Sandy Chalice interview Victor Tiffany earlier, and I know Victor well. He's a great guy, and he's fought hard for this movement. And Victor made the statement that, when they set up the original Bernie or Bust pledge, that it was a good feeling, but it was a bad idea from the outset because in many states, when you talk about writing in a candidate, in those states where you have a write-in and it's not accepted, the entire ballot is thrown away. We're not talking about just the presidential part of it, the entire ballot. And that affects the downstream progressives. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, now how many of those Bernie or Bust people that I was amongst, how many of those still Sanders people have any idea that by writing in Bernie in many of those states, that the entire ballot will find its way to the trash can? If you knew that, would you still do it? It's a question that I hope some of you guys start to think about, because I'm very, very saddened to see the fact that Jill won't be in the first debate. I'm also very, very saddened to see so many burners running around saying, bring back Bernie, or seeing them say, still Sanders. Because once you find out that that ballot will be thrown away, it's not like your protest vote or your write-in for Bernie would even be counted, but you're also hurting the down-ticket progressives, the Bernie-crats. So even if you had an affinity for Sanders, and even if that was your MO, your ballot would be thrown in the trash in several of these states. And I want to do some research to find out which ones they are, but it shouldn't even matter. The fact of the matter is that Jill Stein is an active candidate for presidency, and she is a progressive, and she's walking the lonely road right now. She is truly walking the lonely road right now. And our little echo, our little world of real progressives where people are fighting for real progressive change, the vast majority of us understand that in order to keep this thing alive, we've got to support the next progressive standing. But when you see all your old friends going over there to help the thing that we all fought tooth and nail against, that stole the election from us, you start feeling alone. It starts feeling like a lonely place. You've got to guard against allowing that feeling to take over and change anything that you're doing. Because the fact of the matter is, those people over there have taken the easy way out. They've bought into fear porn, and they've rendered themselves basically useless. So when I think about what it means to walk the lonely road, to do the right thing regardless of how it feels, regardless of the negative feedback you get from those who fell in line, who capitulated, who are now casting aspersions on you, just remember, it's the lone pathway that is guilt-free. It is the lone pathway of voting your values, voting your principles, voting for truth, and helping a progressive revolution long-term. We cannot make any change in this country whatsoever until we fix our election laws, until we fix campaign finance reform, and, most importantly, until people like yourself and myself stay consistently committed to the cause. If people think this stuff is negotiable, if they think that we'll just follow along because, lesser of two evils, all my life, folks, nothing will change. And I get the lonely feeling. There is nothing more lonely than being the lone guy who's talking about Stephanie Kelton, Warren Mosler, and L. Randall Wray with monetary sovereignty, which is the right thing. It's the truth. It's not even a conspiracy. It's nothing. It's just basic economics. But yet more zombies out there throw themselves at the wall of lies. And it gets to be pretty lonely being the only guy out there Literally, go to any one of the other progressive pages. Listen to any of the other progressive speakers. Listen to any of them and ask them if they know about monetary sovereignty. And you're going to get crickets. You're going to get crickets. But I know I'm right. It's not a matter of, I wonder if I'm right. It's not a matter of, gosh, I hope I'm not screwing up here. No, folks, I am right as rain. I'm like 1,000% correct. And I'm by myself largely, except for some followers who actually listen to my econ talks and actually pay attention because they want change in this country. Far too many, even on here, don't follow. They just go ahead back. The non-revolutionary economics of Paul Krugman and gang, they'll fall back in and go over there. It's very lonely doing the right thing, folks. It is very, very lonely doing the right thing. But sometimes it only takes a small amount of people to be truly committed to force change, to make change happen. And that's what I see the next several months as we fight up to November being about. It's not necessarily that we will win. Let's be fair. It was a long shot with Bernie. It's an even longer shot with Jill, right? So we have to moderate some of our ideas here and think to ourselves, what is it that we can accomplish between now and November? And in my estimation, whether I'm a lone ranger or I've got millions behind me, beside me, in front of me, doing the same thing, it doesn't change. The right thing is my values. And in this case, I know that the long game has got to be to help us build a progressive party for the future, whether that be with supporting the Green Party temporarily or long term. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but I know between now and November, the Green Party is the only game in town. The Democrats have proved they're not progressive. They don't care about our issues. And this whole platform thing, it is not the most progressive anything. Folks, I'm telling you right now, the minute Hillary gets in there, if she gets in there, and that's a big if, we'll talk about that in a second. If she gets in there, she will do exactly what her bidders, her masters, have bid her to do. That's it. When it comes to TPP, I fully expect an apostrophe, a comma, a period, maybe a word change thrown in there, and it'll be the gold standard again, if it hasn't passed in the lame duck session. The people that are saying they're still Sanders, they either need to get on board with Jill and help us do the heavy lifting, or they need to understand what they're doing right now is they're supporting a zombie that is no longer running. And it's okay to support Bernie and his ideas as a senator, even as a leader of a movement. The problem is that right now, no matter what the reason behind it, every time you post a Bernie article in there is something supporting Hillary Clinton. And I can't do that, folks. I can't do it. I cannot do that. Not in good conscience. And if that means I've got to be the Lone Ranger and not post a bunch of stuff about Bernie Sanders because I can't edit an article. If the article sits there and says, don't vote for third parties, they're bad, or if it says vote for Hillary, I can't scrub that article. And unfortunately, there's still enough Sanders people out there that if you even criticize what's in the article, they say, I can't handle Bernie bashing. It's just Bernie bashing. So how in the world do you combat it? The only choice you have with those sorts of people is to end up voting for Hillary or casting a ballot for Bernie as a write-in, only to have it thrown in the trash and have all the down-ticket progressives votes down in the trash as well. Is that what you're into? I'm not. So as Victor Tiffany said, the revolt against plutocracy has gone completely to supporting Jill Stein for November. Now, I am partnered, I'm friends with Arakel Bloss and the Progressive Independent Party. I like what they're trying to do. I like the ideas that they're pushing forward. I like the fact that they're trying to build an umbrella movement for all progressives. I like the fact that they'll let a green be a green and they'll let a socialist alternative be a socialist alternative, but under the giant umbrella of the Progressive Independent Party, all of a sudden we can unite all the tribes of progressivism. I like that. I like that a lot. Unfortunately, though, a lot of people like to quit when things are new. They don't like to stick around when it's tough work. They don't like to stick around when it looks like it might not be successful. They gauge success by winning or losing. I gain success, I judge success by progress. Hence, I'm a progressive, right? But that's the fact. So all this stuff is a very lonely experience. I live, just so everyone's aware, I live in a place where Trump signs reign supreme. I have more stars and bars all over the place. Just out front, I almost did my live stream from the front porch, and I saw a Jeep ride by with a Confederate flag on the bumper. And I said to myself, you guys couldn't even miss my facial expressions. And then the whole thing would be diverted talking about Yokel A over there with their stars and bars. So, point being, it's very difficult to be the Lone Ranger. It's very difficult to stand on your values and to stand by yourself if need be. But that's the deal, folks. We are progressives, first and foremost. We're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. We're not Greens. We're not any of that. We're progressives. And we go to the next progressive standing. Because as independent thinkers, as people fighting for a movement, our goal is simply to advance our issues. And we'll ride with whoever, but we won't make the same mistake of just vote blue anywho, right? If you screw up, you lose our support. It's that simple. It's not a matter of being loyal to Group A and Group B. It's a matter of being loyal to our principles, to the issues at hand. And if you, organization A, B, C, D, E, are not up to the challenge of staying committed and convicted, well, you lose our support. We'll try and change you. We'll bust your chops. We'll do whatever. But we're not going to just stick around because you said you were once a Bernie supporter or you're a Jill, whatever. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And we're going to call you out on it, whether that makes us the lone man on the hill or not. I'm okay with that. That's a role I've decided I'm taking on no matter what. And if I piss a bunch of people off, they're going to get over it or they're not. It's not that I want people pissed at me. It's that I want to be honest to myself. I'm not doing this for any other reason than the movement. I am 1,000% committed to this movement. I'm 1,000% committed to the economics that I speak of. It wouldn't matter who was pushing this. I would be on their side because they would be right. Taxes don't fund spending at the federal level. We are monetarily sovereign. The Federal Reserve handles monetary policy. Congress handles fiscal policy. We need a Congress that spends on the 99%. We need single payer, and we're not going to have it without a revolution. We need college for all, free, and we're not going to have it without a revolution. I need to be able to take off no matter what job I have, be it contractor, full-time, whatever. I need to be able to take off for bereavement if my father dies, for example. I shouldn't have to rush back to work. Or worry about losing my home or worry about not paying my electric. These are issues. And I don't care what the letter on the TV screen says, whether D-R-I-G-L, whatever. If you're not supporting those issues, if you're telling me I'm asking too much, well, you're my enemy for the day, folks. I can't stand by that, and I won't. Lonely is the path, folks. I admit it. It's not easy. And here's something that scares me big time, and it should scare you as well. Right now, we've got people's attention, kinda, because we've got an election going on. What happens the day after the election? You already saw a huge drop-off in people fighting once Bernie endorsed Hillary. You saw a huge drop-off. Why is that? You could talk about election fraud, you could talk about this, that, and the other, but the fact of the matter is what you did was you saw a bunch of people that weren't really in this as revolutionaries. They were in this for the cult of personality. I'm not in it for the cult of personality, folks. Leaders are going to come. Leaders are going to go. We have to stay true to the movement, and it's going to be lonely. I'm telling you, folks, it's going to be lonely. I need you guys to get yourself excited and plugged in and ready to fight. And it can't be about individuals. It must be about the movement. It can't be about parties. It must be about the movement. It must be about the movement, or we are going to fail. This is Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, hoping you have a great day.